4K 120 frames per second, 45% faster GPU, improved ray tracing, Sony's proprietary deep learning super sampling as PlayStation Super Spectral Resolution, the PS5 Pro will easily be the fastest and best gaming console to date. But does anyone even want it? Do we even need it? Or is it really just an unnecessary elitist upgrade that will just drain more pocketbooks? Welcome to GameList Plus. My name is Josh, and today I'm asking, does anyone even want a PS5 Pro? As a devout and avid PlayStation gamer since the 90s, I had the original PlayStation all the way back then, and each one successively throughout the years, I'm here to give you my opinion on the fresh new PS5 Pro codenamed Trinity. I'll go over some of the reasons that you might not even want one, then I'll go over the rumored improvements to determine how much better it will be than the PS5 original, and who will be buying it, when to expect it. At the end, I'll talk a little bit about the PlayStation 6 and how it's not as far off as it might seem. First, let's talk about why you might not want a PS5 Pro at all. So picture this, I'm sitting in my car in front of a 7-Eleven here in Los Angeles, not too far from my place. I'm feeling pretty nervous about handing off $750 cash to a perfect stranger in hopes that he is not scamming me. He promised me a spanking new PS5 for $750. They were going for over $1,000 all over the place online at the time, so I was feeling like I was actually getting a deal, even though it was clearly still a lot of money. A nice looking Lexus pulls up next to my beat up old Honda Civic 2003, and I hop out of the car with the wad of cash tightly clutched in my hands. The masked gentleman that I encountered promptly went to his trunk and popped it open, revealing the brand new PlayStation 5 in its box. He showed me that the seal was still on it and waited for me to hand him the cash. So I counted out the 50s and 100s, handed him the money, ready to grab the PS5 if he were to make a quick move. Thankfully, he was very nice, and it was a simple transaction. I grabbed my PS5 and was on my way to what was then next generation gaming bliss. All that happened in 2021, which is only a little over 3 years ago. The flat out fact is a lot of people just barely got a PS5 in the last year or two. In the first few months, PS5 sold 7.8 million units. Then in its second fiscal year, it sold 13 million units. And then its third fiscal year, which just ended last year, it sold 22 million units. So they definitely sold the absolute most in the most recent time. So Sony coming out with a brand new system that is better than the original that everyone had such a hard time getting in the first place just doesn't seem all that logical to me. I mean, I get wanting to have smoother graphics and higher refresh rates and all that, but I just don't feel like PlayStation 5 has even gotten a chance to shine as a standalone system. And 2024 really doesn't have any mega titles coming out. Wolverine doesn't come out until next year, and that's one of the only big PS5 titles that I could think of that's coming soon. The PS5 Slim just came out, which is a smaller model, which some people already shoveled out more money for. So what is the point of having a PS5 Pro that costs more money just to have faster and sharper graphics when the PS5 already looks amazing? Yes, the super fast PCs that people have do look better, and the frame rates look so much better, and I sure would love to have faster frame rates and better quality for games like Dragon's Dogma 2, but I'm not about to shell out another $600 to $750 like I already did to upgrade to another system. I would rather just wait for the PlayStation 6, which is not that far off, and we'll talk more about that a little later. Very quickly, if you are enjoying this video, this is the perfect time for you to hit that like button. It really helps the channel a lot, and also hit subscribe so you can see all my upcoming videos. Anyway, PS5 Pro is codenamed Trinity. Whoever is in charge of codenames at Sony clearly loves the Matrix because PS4's codename was Neo, and the PSVR's codename was Morpheus. So, yeah. So the new Sony Trinity is obviously going to be an upgrade, but what does the PS5 Pro do better than the PS5? Nothing is officially confirmed, but sources have indicated that the AMD Zen 2 CPU will be boosted from 3.5 GHz to 3.85 GHz, that the RAM will be increased from 16 GB in the original model to 18 GB in the Pro. With that kind of power, theoretically the system would be able to run 8K at 60 frames per second, or 4K at 120 frames per second, which obviously would only be possible with lower demand games like 2D side-scrollers. But in any case, it's really impressive. If all these numbers make no sense to you at all, I totally get it. Basically what they're saying is that it's going to be about 45% better with better graphics performance, faster loading times, improved multitasking, and overall just better performance. What I find to be the most interesting thing that they're improving upon in the new system is incorporating PlayStation's Super Spectral Resolution, which is Sony's proprietary version of DLSS, which has been around on PCs for years, which basically just upgrades the graphics with AI, but in a very impressive way. Fully implemented DLSS is truly impressive, as you can see here, so it will be really nice to see this working on home consoles from now on. Additionally, supposedly Sony has been telling developers to really focus on improving the ray tracing effects in their games for PS5 Pro. All the technical improvements are the most obvious reasons you might want to pick up a PS5 Pro since it's coming out pretty soon. If you just never picked up a PS5 yet at all, and you've been holding out specifically for the Pro, then your time is soon coming. I actually know a couple people personally who have been holding out for the PS5 Pro just like they did for the PS4 Pro, And they're all getting excited because they are ready to get their PS5 officially, finally. And there are a lot of gamers who just like to have the freshest and newest thing. Myself, for example, I went and bought the OLED model of the Switch because I knew the Switch 2 wasn't going to be out for a long time, and I play my Switch handheld more than anything, and I just wanted that bigger, brighter screen. But I just can't imagine shelling out another $5, $6, or $7, or $750 for another PlayStation when all the games that are going to be released on it are also going to be available on my original PlayStation 5. As for when we will see the system, sources are saying that we will see it this year, probably by the holiday season. When the PS4 Pro was announced back in September of 2016, they released it just 2 months later in November. I think we can expect something similar with the PS5 Pro. Now let's talk briefly about the PlayStation 6, which is definitely going to happen in the not too distant future. I do know a lot of people who got the PS4 Pro, and there'll be a lot of people who get the PS5 Pro, but the PlayStation 6 will definitely be coming out at the absolute latest in 2028. Sony hasn't waited more than 7 years for the release of any of their previous PlayStation models. The original PlayStation came out in 1994, PS2 came out in 2000, PS3 was in 2006, PS4 was in 2013, then PS5 in 2020. It stands to reason that the PS6 will come out in 2027, maybe 2028. Maybe 2028 if they get crazy with it and they wait for a spring release instead of a holiday release, but I feel like that's doubtful. I also feel like it would be smart for them to release the PlayStation 6 in 2026. PlayStation 6 2026, it just sounds good. I feel like they'll go for it if it's ready. There aren't any details on the release of the PlayStation 6 yet, obviously, because they haven't even announced the Pro, but obviously all these pieces of information will definitely influence our decisions as we move forward with buying our systems. I think personally the PS5 Pro is pointless for me. I will definitely be waiting for the PS6, and if something comes out that really needs that much of a graphical upgrade, I'll just play it on my PC. There really aren't that many PS5 exclusives to rave about, and there will be none coming out that won't be playable on the PS5 original. Although I am sure when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out next year, it will help drive PS5 Pro sales, if it comes out next year like it's supposed to. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Will you be buying a PS5 Pro? When did you get your PS5? Would you buy the PS5 Pro just so you can play Grand Theft Auto 6? And what year do you think the PS6 will actually come out? Let's talk about it in the comments below. While you're here, why don't you check out my list of the top 10 best couch co-op games for PS5. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time on GameList Plus.